All right, Lou, don't panic. Bring a towel. As a matter of fact, I'm almost feeling like I should have gotten a towel to give you as a prop. But oh, this will work. This will work right here. Listen, everybody's freaking out about the
I'm
coronavirus,
freaking out.
but it's not that bad. It is not that bad. Now, listen,
It's
there
not
are
that bad.
some serious complications to this virus that are a little bit worse than the flu. Absolutely. And a lot of people have been pointing that out, right? Especially the doctors in the hospitals, in the emergency rooms, have been pointing out that a lot of people have complications with this where they actually need to go on ventilators. And that is a tough thing, right?
Yeah.
But there are some mitigating factors that are actually going to turn very sharply in our favor. And I think we need to talk about those because those are things that people don't realize. So, what's your first mitigating factor? What's going on here?
First, it should be seasonal.
Okay.
It
So,
does not like what Celsius? What does it like?
it likes between 5 and 11 degrees Celsius and between 40 and 75% humidity. And that actually comes from Kim Iversen. She did some research on this and basically pulled that up. She also has a great video on this. I'll link
really
that in the
does.
description.
She does.
And you guys need to watch that. It shows that there are very specific temperature zones wherein these outbreaks are occurring, right? So, like, it's happening in a very specific spot in China. It's happening in Italy. It's happening in Iran. And it's happening in, like, New York and Washington. And it's because all of those things have a very similar environment, right?
Right now they do.
Right. At the moment, they do. Now, that is going to change, obviously, as we warm up. That cold window is going to go north. And hopefully what happens is when that window goes north, it basically shuts down the virus in the area where it's currently working.
Yes.
And will have already shut down the virus in the area that that window moves to. So we'll end up with basically no places where the virus can thrive, right?
That's
now,
right.
That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario would be that the virus just moves north with the temperature, but the best case scenario would be that the temperature moves fast enough the virus can't move with it and then gets basically trapped and shut down.
That's right. Number 2, masks will not stop you from contracting the virus. But if you think that you may be a carrier or if you are sick, wear a mask because it will stop you from infecting others.
Absolutely. What you got for number 3?
3, it can stay on hard surfaces. You said 9 days.
Well, it has been reported up to 9 days. I think that they actually did a test where it survived for 9 days, but I think that's, again, ideal conditions for that virus.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to last on a surface. In fact, what they say is if the temperature is not ideal, it's not able to last for 9 days. So that's the worst case scenario again, and we got to kind of be mindful of the fact that the worst case scenario is a very small window of temperature zone that is probably not wherever you are unless you're, in New York, New Jersey, or Washington, or Chicago, those areas.
Well, even in areas that have that problem, we're getting Asia has a lower caseload right now. I think China has a lower caseload right now. They're seeing less than 100 cases a day now.
Now, this is an important point because what you've just identified is that the growth of the virus is not exponential.
That's
and a
right.
lot of people believe that it's exponential, which is basically, the number of cases starts kind of slow and it picks up speed and it goes up and up and up and just goes straight up like a rocket ship. It attains orbit, leaves the solar system, boom. I mean, it just is off to the races.
Yeah.
But that's not how things work.
It's not.
Things in real life, natural populations, and we can refer to the virus itself as a population of the virus,
Yes.
In a person, or we could refer to it as a population of cases. But whatever we want to refer to this as is most likely going to be covered by a completely different type of graph that most people have never even heard of, called the logistic function.
And what that means is instead of being like a rocket ship where it takes all the way off, it's going to be like a plane that has a ceiling based on mitigating factors, and then it will level out.
Now, I've got a very good graphic representation on Twitter, right? So follow me at Exverum. That's EXVERUM. That's Out of Truth. Go to my media and then scroll down until you see like two graphs that are kind of the same. What you'll see is that at the start, the logistic function and the exponential function track together. And then what you'll see later, like after you hit the inflection point for the logistic graph,
Yeah.
they diverge sharply. And that is actually like, if you look at every kind of thing in the world, everything that grows, every population, even humanity, you grow very quickly
Yes.
when there's room to grow. But then when you start to see that there's not room to grow, you taper off, right? And so this is actually well known in humans that we will, the population of humanity grows to the carrying capacity. And about 50% of the carrying capacity, it actually starts to slow down and we start to go towards that asymptote of carrying capacity.
Now, if you look at the cases, it shows this because in South Korea, they're having a low caseload now.
Uh-huh.
Where it first exploded,
Right.
now it's hit its ceiling
Mm-hmm.
and low caseloads.
Right.
Nothing like before.
So,
So Trump, when he said, you know what, we talk about Trump when he's wrong.
right.
We need to talk about him when he's right. And the fact is that he said that by April or so, it should be gone.
And this is actually really interesting, right? I mentioned this on one of our other videos, but the press has staked out a position where they said what Trump said was foolish and moronic, and we're going to blast it as hard as we can. And what that does is that puts them in a position of, first of all, arguing for the worst case scenario,
That's
arguing
right.
for this being the worst thing that it could possibly be.
May I interrupt you for one question?
Yeah.
Why do you think they would do that?
Because
Negative news is gets more clicks than positive news does.
that's true. That's true. But they didn't do this to Obama. In other words, these are the people who there were a lot of things that could have gone negative with Obama. Benghazi, they could have gone negative. And don't get me wrong, like Fox was going negative on those things. But we're talking now about like MSNBC and CNN, and they're soft pedaling. They soft pedal all of Obama stuff, and now they're going hard against Trump. And in many cases where it seems that they are just completely wrong, the whole Russiagate nonsense, everything that they've been talking about, impeachment, and now we've gotten to this point where they are arguing against the president of the United States. Now, I don't think the president is a medical expert, but I think he talks to medical experts. I think that there are probably people in the administration who have said things like what we're saying here.
That's right.
And Trump has said, oh, well, that means that it'll probably be over by April. And there's reason to believe that, right? Because
The
this
temperatures will
coronavirus-
rise, and it tends to like 51 degrees.
Right. Well, that's the high end.
That's the
What's
high end
low
of it,
is
yeah.
like, what,
I think
40 or so?
yeah, around 40 or so. So
Okay.
what that means is that when spring comes,
uh-huh.
spring is here,
When it hits 55, 60,
gone.
this virus is not going to be happy.
Yeah, so it'll slow down exponentially and level off.
Logistically.
Well, it'll slow down. In other words, it's going to level off. I'm hoping.
I get you. I
I'm
get
hoping
you.
you're teasing me, but I'm hoping that it slows down exponentially, and then after a while, no cases happen, and it'll be seasonal, and then it just dies. That's my hope.
Right.
Hopefully, it's not logistic where
Well-
you have a bunch of cases that still happen.
This is a case I've been wanting to make for a while, right? I mean, you know that I spend more time thinking about philosophy than really anything else. One of the things that our brain does that is so amazing, the subconscious mind, is a pattern recognition engine, right?
Yeah.
So I talk about this all the time. What is that thing where you see a hose on the ground and you freak out about it? You're like, oh my goodness, is that no, it's not a snake, it's a hose. Okay. And that is because the hose, as it's weaving its way through the grass, looks almost exactly like a snake weaving its way through the grass. And your subconscious mind recognizes that pattern that could be dangerous to you and alerts you to it in, quite frankly, the strongest possible way. You cannot ignore the alert of a hose lying on the ground because it looks like it might kill you. So we have this amazing pattern recognition software inside of our subconscious. And I think in this case, a lot of people, their patterns, unfortunately, come from movies.
Yes.
They come from The Walking Dead and from
Outbreak.
Hollywood.
Yes.
You filled your mind with these crazy scenarios that will most likely
with
never
foolishness.
happen. Right.
Foolishness.
The real pattern to recognize here is other flu viruses, other coronavirus viruses, other coronavirus strains, right, which are often seasonal and do run through their course and peter out sometime in April.
And they stop.
Which means that Trump is probably going to be right. And what the left or the media, the CNN and MSNBC have done is they have taken out the most ridiculous position against common sense that they could possibly take because the president cannot make this case. I can make this case, but the president doesn't seem to be able to communicate this case as well as I can, right? So I'm not trying to put myself out there, but the president just does, almost instinctually what he should do. And he doesn't seem to have the ability to go to the people and say, well, this is why we should do it.
If you had done, and what's wise about what we're doing, and is we're going to show you a chart and graphs, and then we're going to ask you to do a little research on your own to see what SARS did, to see what the influenza virus usually does every year, and that will give you a baseline to make your own personal predictions. Now, you have to use a little mental power. You can't listen to the gloom and doom. You can't listen to the media per se, but what you can do is you can use it, do your own research, and then find the truth as it applies to you. If you're in a hot climate, you probably don't have much to worry about. There are some cases out here in Florida, but it's not exploding.
There's like no cases in Africa or South America
Exactly.
right now. None.
Because it's hot.
Yeah. And in fact, I didn't know this, but I was actually keeping my room very warm.
Yeah.
And I did not realize it, but that may have kept me from getting it because I had a roommate who was going out and engaging with the world, and I kind of stay here in my little cave. And he would come back, and there was a time when he was coughing. And I was like, "Are you getting sick? Are you getting sick?" It was like in the middle of February. "Are you getting sick, man?" He's like, "No, I'm not getting sick. I'm not getting sick." I'm like, "Well, why are you coughing?" It's no big deal. It's not a thing.
Turn the heat on.
So I went in my room, and I actually turned the heat on, and I haven't gotten it, but
Put some. So basically, don't panic.
don't panic.
Bring a towel and put some heat on it.
And let us know what you guys think in the comments, right? I think it's overblown, but definitely there is some real danger. There are some people that are going to die, so we don't want to gloss over that fact, but we do want people not to panic. Tim Pool actually talks about having about 3 months of a food store in your house, non-perishable foods.
That's wise.
That's a great idea.
That's wise.
All the time, right? You always do that. But let us know what you think in the comments. Share the video with your friends.
That's right.
Support us on Subscribestar, and we will put all the links in the description below for you to do your own research on this topic and see if you agree with us. And of course, bring forward your own stuff if you have some sources that disagree with us. All right, you guys have a great day. Talk to you later.
Bye for now.